Hey everybody, this is Ozark Prepper 1. It's been a while. Hasn't been much going on here, but here's something to think about. What kind of reality are people living in? How are they perceiving the world? Now, if they're running a small business or they've got a decent paying job, they're not perceiving the world as someone who lost their job or a disabled person. They're not perceiving the world the same as they are. So they're not seeing the bad. They're not feeling the bad. As a person, say, who was laid off work, or they got fired from a job, or they just had, say they had a business that fell in hard times or anything like that, they're perceiving the world totally different because they found out the hard way that when an economy tanks, it's hard to climb back up and get on your feet as it is when an economy is booming. And the past month, I've visited a few friends of mine that are very wealthy, like extreme wealth. But you know, these people opened up, kind of showing me their place and how they live and stuff. I've known these people for years. They had all kinds of toys, you know, Harley Davidsons and all kinds of nice cars and trucks and nice homes and boats, any kind of thing for fun. But when it came to food, they didn't have that much. They had maybe a week or two supply because they believe in their mind that nothing's changed and that nothing's going to change because everything's been happening in small increments so people wouldn't notice. And it worked. Most people didn't notice. I have family members that are in their 60s and 70s, and they turn on that news at nighttime and they believe everything that comes on there. And they think that's what the world is. They don't see what's going on around the world and even in our country. The massive protests against something, against that needle thing. But they think that thing's good. So they got in their car and went and took it. And I think they will have buyer's remorse down the road. But perception's a big thing. That's how people get deceived, because they can't wrap their mind around it. And it's really not that complex. It's just a little simple information war. And one of the ways to win an information war is to not allow information. And that's what they've done. That's the quickest way to dumb down a population. If you withhold information and then demonize anyone who brings it forth. Are you stocked up? Do you have plenty of soap? Do you have plenty of medical stuff like peroxide and alcohol, cotton, any kind of sanitizers. Keep you some gallons of water put back in case you have to wash out something. Bleach, vinegar. Do you ever think about, I don't know, put back a little bit of, say, propane fuel or something in case you have to cook something? Or a canned good. You can set it on the hood of a black car in the summertime and it'll cook fast. Be sure and crack the lid open or it'll explode. But you can fry eggs on the hood of a car in the hot summer sun, as long as an animal doesn't get to it. Anyway, that's kind of off topic, just random gibberish. Yeah, this situation we have right now is going to go extremely bad or extremely good. That's the only thing that can happen. There's no in between. What you're watching on the news is theater. When you hear of countries talking about war, just put that out of your head. It's fake. We were told that would be fake. We were told that would be fake like 3,000 years ago. Wars and rumors of wars, but the end is not yet. That's the rumors of wars. Every time you turn your news on, they'll say Russia's about to get into it with Ukraine, China's about to get into it with Taiwan, Israel's about to get into it with some Arab nation. That's all to keep people focused on that and in a panic, and then they don't see what's happening to them domestically. What's happening domestically is actually a global operation. If you go to any of your small towns, you'll see that the little Agenda 21, Agenda 2030 being implemented, bicycle trails through towns, and urban community development. The reason they do that is if the same reason a farmer puts all of his livestock in one field, and so the other field can grow up, and when he goes to round up his livestock, they're right there. It's the same thing. Nobody considers that. Why do we keep building all these urban apartments and stacking people on top of one another and charging them rent? Wonder why that happens. And why do we take a nation that was once, say 1975, we probably had 150 million people. And at that time, if you wanted to buy something, you just went and got a job and you bought it. Because there was plenty of elbow room. There was plenty of jobs. There was plenty of supplies. And that value of that paper money had more, or there was more value to that paper money because it was in less pockets. The more human beings you have, the more pockets you have to put that money in. And when human beings die off in a large number, that money increases back in value. Let's just go for example. World War I. We had World War I. Then we had the Roaring Twenties. Everybody was poor after that because we had the Great Depression after they nuked our dollar with that Fed system. But we were still so strong that we ended up having World War II, and we lost another 500,000 people. Well, that's 500,000 pockets didn't have any money, and they were going back to the other pockets that were still walking around alive, and that increased that money again. And then we had the big buildup of housing all across this country in the 1950s, 40s and 50s, especially the 50s and 60s. And people were pretty modest with their homes back then. You know, today, people feel the need to buy 20 acres and clear half of it off and be on a hillside just so the people on the road can see their house. Why would you want to do that? Because you just nuked half your resources on your piece of ground that you bought. And when the time comes, you'll be like Afghanistan. You'll use all of your shade tree for heat, all the furniture in your home, all the trim. You know, during the 1980s, that's what happened in country of, was it Lebanon, Afghanistan, some of those. Somebody will have to correct me on that. But these people had to burn their furniture to stay warm. And for some folks in this country seem to think that this is an endless supply, like this is going nowhere. You know, those in California found out that this could disappear in about 3 days with a fire. You know, so I don't see the point in wiping out a big patch of land so everybody in the world can drive by and see your home that they don't care about. I could care less about anybody's house. I'd rather see the beautiful trees, to be honest. And they polarize people when it comes to the environment. You know, if those on the left demonize you if you cut a dead tree down anymore, but those on the right demonize you if you want to save an entire forest from being ruined for something stupid like urban community development. You know, or a tobacco farm. Those should be just wiped out completely. We shouldn't even have that junk. They could be growing food there. They could be growing fuel. As a matter of fact, we could be growing fuel anyway. They knew this years ago with hemp. It's quite frustrating to know those things and know there's really not a lot one individual can do about it. But you can in your own life. Prepare for the hordes of idiots who are unprepared. And it'll get bad, but if you're prepared, it won't be as near as bad for you. It won't even be as bad as you think it will be, because while everybody else is in panic mode, they're going to be in a hurry, and they're going to be using up a lot of energy, and they're going to be on an empty stomach, and you're going to be at home eating beans and steak or whatever you got put back. You'll probably be eating teaspoons of sugar every once in a while for a little load of energy. So while you're doing that, you're sitting back, you're calm and collected. You're not burning as much energy, and you're taking in some energy. They're going to get weaker. They're going to be panic mode. There'll be a desperation. You're going to see a lot of suicides. A lot of people can't cope with losing their possessions. And that's 90-something% of what causes suicides and depression. People get wrapped up in their possessions. They get wrapped up in their possessions, and they think that it's the end of the world when they lose that car or that house. And to some it probably is, because they probably worked hard for it. And then something unexpected happened and cost them to lose it. Could be an illness, loss of a job. But if you don't get too attached to your possessions, it won't hurt as bad when you lose them. You can't say that about your loved ones, but you can say that about your home and your cars and fun toys or whatever. I'm walking through the thorn briars. See, where I live, wintertime can't stop them. So I would look at the world through the lens of other people. Not to make your decisions on, but to see where they're coming from. And then kind of get an idea of what their general idea is. And then you can prepare for those people. I know one thing. I don't claim to be the bravest person in the world. But when the time comes, I'm not running. I think it's a better idea to make them run. When you got nothing left to lose, and they're coming after what little you have. And what I'm referring to is, for those that don't know, right now in Australia, if you don't do what they say, and even if you do what they say, they're yanking people out of their homes and they're putting them in these camps. And you know why they're doing it. They say it's for their health. And you know what? When I read that Constitution, it didn't say anything about me losing rights because of a health issue. So I will not comply. And I will use whatever I have to do to not comply. And if they show up here, it's game on. And you shouldn't have any fear, because It's not supposed to be that way. They're supposed to fear us. And we can give them a reason to fear us if they want to play. It sure would be hard to chase a person through this, wouldn't it? Nothing but thorns. Now, if a guy came through here a lot, the guy could map his own path out and trick the enemy and make them run right into those thorns. And then they'd have to go find something else to do. Probably sit down and pick those thorns out. I knew I'd make it to this spot. There's a pond up here. Or there's the remnants of a pond. I think we had a flood come through and wash it out. Look at that big old tree laying there. It's a hickory. I think it's about 15 years ago that one laid over. I don't remember if it was a storm or... Yeah, those thorns are sharp. Anyway, I better get off here. I'm up to 21 minutes. So, I'm down in a valley. Anyway, you all have a great weekend. This is Ozark Prepper 1, over and out.